What's up, guys? It's your girl Jocelyn Joseph back with another episode of Teens Talk. We are here today with a very special guest, Mr. Charles McIntosh. Yay!
Thank you very much.
And my mom is actually 20 years old. As you
Hello.
can see. So we're just gonna ask you a few questions.
Okay.
If that's fine with you.
That's fine with me.
Okay, so initially, where are you from, Mr. Charles?
I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. South side. Yep, South side. Yeah. And that's why I went to high school. Started playing music there when I was in fourth grade, in grammar school. I wanted to play guitar, but they only had trumpets. So I had to take the trumpet. And pretty much as growing up, I think I was blessed to be born in the age of TV growing.
Okay.
So my mom used it as a babysitter.
Okay.
So I would sit there and I'd watch it. And of course, there was none else on there, but I watched I Love Lucy, all that stuff over and over, Dick Van Dyke Show. And I learned how to do what they call physical comedy.
Mm.
So from growing up, I just always wanted to be in entertainment.
So you did comedy too?
I tried. It didn't work too well. But I write comedy.
Oh, he writes comedy.
Yeah, I write comedy. That's what my latest project is, a comedy. We call it dramedy. Drama and some laughs in it too.
Okay. So what age did you start with entertainment?
What was that? I was 8 for trumpet, and then I started playing guitar, self-taught, around 10.
You said guitar. Where did that love for music come from?
It's that old school. My parents. My mom used to play Sam Cooke every Saturday while she cleaned up. So I know every Sam Cooke song there is. Every album. Plus, he was in that neighborhood. They all went to high school, so she was a Sam Cooke lover. So that R&B mixed
She went to
with
school with Sam Cooke?
they went to the same high school. Yeah.
What?
That's awesome.
No.
They all was in that same neighborhood. Yep.
Awesome.
Cool.
You know, and that's one of the good things about, like I said, I was fortunate to be born in Chicago because at that time was after the migration where all the black folks were leaving the South coming up. So we were
The Great Migration.
Exactly, trying to find our way, and I just kept rolling from there, learning guitar, sung in some groups, got in the Navy, taught myself how to play the flute. Then I came out, my wife said, "You need to be a husband."
I tried the flute
She
in high
actually
school.
did.
Yeah. Hey, that takes
No,
some
I
time.
said try.
Ooh, that takes some time.
Yes.
I don't do band in high school. It's too much. Who inspired you to do music?
I don't know if Stevie Wonder, people like that, but it was
the greats.
it's that feel music gives me. I tell everybody, I live off a vibe. How we interact, our chemistry, the groove. Even when I film, they be like, well, in the book you say, like, how does it flow? It's like that James Brown thing. Does it feel good? Do it look good? Then it's good. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times I look at the new people that's filming, and I watch this too because I can learn something from everybody. I don't sit back and go, well, I was doing this for 20 years, and when I did it, and I get a lot of folks like that want to actually hinder the creative process. And I'm just one of those. I like it to feel good.
So she introduced you at the beginning, but the reason we brought you on here is because you are in Atlanta doing some really, really big things. So let's start with what brought you to Atlanta.
A broken heart.
Oh no!
But that's mostly true. But I was in Virginia, and I was working corporate for the nuclear shipbuilding company. Building nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers. I did that for like 25, 26 years. And I was filming TV. I had my own cable access show. And my son was touring with the rap group while he was in high school, and I wanted to get back in it. So I started with him, managing him. He couldn't get him on nowhere. So I created a platform for him.
Okay.
He was on my show.
Create your own table.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. And I traveled around, and I not only did him, I incorporated him. He said I made him my slave, but I incorporated him in it, and we traveled around doing bass tournaments. It was like a variety show, and then I wrote skits. So after I did that, had some my marriage went crazy, and then I said, well, you know what? Why don't I go somewhere where I can actually do something? I was thinking California. And then I came to a Falcons Bears game, met somebody I knew a long time ago, and they said move here, and I moved here.
Got you.
And the how you say it, the movement through Atlanta is not as fluent as it is in LA, New York, because it's new, it's fresh,
Right.
so to speak. And so everything here is about circles. And I always say, you know, networking is the key to anything. That's why I live off of vibe. As long as I can get that juice, I'm good.
So we know that you worked on some of Tyler Perry's projects and things like that. Do you want to share your experiences and how you ended up landing those roles or whatnot?
That's the thing about, I said I was fortunate, because when I got here, this was just beginning. And I had already experienced a market that had nothing, which is the Hampton Roads, Virginia, the Hampton Newport News area. It didn't have a market. And I was trying to create it.
Okay.
So everybody was like, man, you doing things. And I'm like, yeah, but I was only got, well, not the only guy, but there's a few of us, but I was doing it pretty good. So I was like, well, I could do something bigger scale. So when I went through the divorce, I was like, you know what? Atlanta would be a good fit. I could come down here and find my way. But it wasn't that easy. It took me 3 years to get a background job.
It's really tough.
Yeah, it is. It's not that easy.
It's competitive.
That's what they say, AGI. Like, you can be friends and all, you know, after the day is over, but when you're in work mode, you're competing against other people. Not saying, you know, we're not your friends or whatever, because, yeah, we can go, you know, get something to drink or something to eat after, but when we're in business, it's all about competing and seeing who's, you know, the best man or best woman win.
Oh, man. And, you know, and the truth of that is, if you're up on your game and you're actually focused on what you need to do, you can find a way. Because like I said, that I didn't train at school to do any of this. I was doing home videos and on the VHS tapes. And I said, you know what? Can't I make my own movies? And then I had a VHS camera. So I was like, well, you know what? Let me see if I can make my own stuff. So I started splicing tapes, opening up the cases, cutting the tapes together. My son, he said, oh, where you get all this stuff? I was at Radio Shack every weekend looking for something new to work with. And I made my own tapes. And then that's what got me into doing the weddings and the special events. And then I was like, my head got a little big. It's like, I could do more. I know I can. And that's when I started filming the show, put that together. But like I said, if you want it, you know, that's it, that drive. You gotta want to eat it. If it ain't like air, it ain't right.
So back to that table you're making, you have some projects that you're currently working on, and you've got your show that you're putting out. You want to tell our viewers a little bit about what you're doing?
Okay, so
without giving them all the juicy details.
Yeah. So this is what I have taken from my experience in Atlanta. If you want to work and you want to be in this industry, you have to put in the time and the effort. And I tell people constantly, I don't sleep much. I just don't sleep much. And I can't because my creative juices flow at night.
Right.
At night, I'm thinking. I can't slow my mind down. So I learned to meditate now. But there's a thing about putting it together that I just had to do. So I watched Tyler Perry. I worked with him from the old studio. I started out with him doing the audience noises. Ooh. That felt so
background work.
Yeah,
put it in.
I had 2 months of that. But did that, then came in and started doing the shows, and I networked. Because even though I had my own show in Virginia, I had to figure out what was going on. So I started my company, which I like to feel like it encompasses a lot of folks. So I have a comedy I wrote when I first got here called Risky Southern Law. So I had 4 lawyers, Southern lawyers, they go through these antics. My next one was a sex trafficking film called Safe Harbor. That was as for a cause because I felt like there was a lot going on with the missing young ladies. Yeah, man, it's just so horrible. And I kept thinking what I would feel like it was my child. So, and I hate to wait till it be me to go want to do something.
Right.
So from that, I went and did. I wrote a couple of things for some other folks. Didn't come out, but I kept on my grind. But I was also in the union as an electrician. So I was in the union for 2 years, I only had 3 jobs. But because I was on those jobs, I met more people and I worked for more shows.
Now, when you talk about the union, people are normally thinking just the union where you go and travel with jobs. But the union, the entertainment industry actually has its own union. So how do you go about becoming a part of the union? Because that's really, really hard to actually get accepted into that union platform.
And see, that's the thing about it. It's only reason it's hard is because people make it hard.
Mhm.
But like the 479, which is a stagehands union, IATSE, I was in there, and what they do is they encompass your grips, your electricians, your medics, your camera people. No, not cameras. That's another union. Your aid, the assistants to do the cameras. They do everything. All of those stuff. The food, the craft services.
Mhm.
So they're a union, but the thing about it is they're not a union that gets you jobs.
Mhm.
They're a union that protects your rights and makes sure you get paid
Right.
and make sure everything's okay.
Mhm.
So with that being said, that's why the hard lesson I learned. I was like, I'm on sit all the time. Nobody's hiring me to be an electrician, but I'm busy doing everything else,
Mhm.
which I wanted to do. So it was I couldn't complain. But the key to it is you have to know someone, and they give you these references, and then they're only going to sign you in as a reference if they trust you. And that was the hardest part, because if you didn't grow up with someone here, you knew from town,
Mhm.
like I am, you have to find those people.
Right.
So and even with the directors, with the shows I've done lately, I've been getting the nudge from people that I need to join the directors union because I'm doing too much directing, and I understand it, but that's a fee too.
Right.
You had to pay to be in that, and if
Right.
you ain't working, you just paying. And that's why I felt about the union. I'm just paying dues just to say I'm part of it. So the key to it is to find out what the foundation is, how to get in there, take the necessary steps, but be a sponge and absorb everything you see,
Mhm.
everything that happens. I did the Trumpet Awards. I was supposed to be picking people up in the car, but every time I got out, I come back inside. I'm standing backstage with the cameras in, and they talk. They thought they even said, "I thought you were back here." I was back there so much.
Oh,
And I was
goodness.
like, nah, and I'm like, why y'all doing that? What's up? And they was explaining. So my thing was, I didn't want to be a nuisance, but I wanted to learn, and I knew that to have a production company like Tyler and anyone else, I would have to know the foundation of what goes on, and at least how to what's involved in those jobs. Because how can I tell you just grab a mic and go over there? And you're gonna say, well, to do what? I don't know. You get the mic, figure it out.
Mhm.
Can't do that. I did that my first show, Risky Southern Law. Flavor Flav's brother gave me some equipment, told me I could borrow it. I filmed the show in 5 weekends, 5 episodes. But to everybody I hired, there was anybody that wanted to work. So I had to teach them how to do the mic, teach them how to do the camera, and I was acting in it.
Wow.
That's why I say never do everything again. Not
Wow.
me. I burned myself up.
Right.
But it showed everyone I could do it. So
Okay.
completing the project is key here. If you can finish, it stands for a lot.
Mhm.
Because there's so many snakes out here.
Right. Right.
There's so many snakes out here. But yeah, to get back to the point, straight away. See, don't let me run.
It's all good. We're listening. It's interesting.
The key to it though is, like I said, once I got the foundation together,
Mhm.
I had to, like Jay-Z said, get a blueprint. Because even though there's a foundation that people normally follow to get this stuff done, everything's not written in stone. You know, I'm one of the people, I deal with it as it comes. I throw myself in fires. I regret it sometimes, but I feel like if I don't test myself, I'll never know where I can go.
Right.
So I'll accept jobs and go, I don't know what that's supposed to do, and go home and YouTube it. I've done that a few times. YouTube it, get the information, research it some, and show up that day and work my way through it.
Wow.
Because if I don't, nobody's just gonna say, "Hey, Charles, I like you. Come
Yeah.
on, man, let me hire you for a director." No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find it, like I say, eat at my own table. So after I took Vivica Fox hit it first. She's like, "They won't hire me for roles. I'll make my roles." So then right after that, Tyler did it, and I was like, "You know what? This can be done."
Mhm.
And that's what I've been doing. So I've been making sure that I write, because you have to have product in order to sell anything. So it means you have to write a product, because a lot of folks don't write.
Mhm.
And that's what keeps me occupied now, because nobody likes writing, nobody likes reading, nobody likes making scripts. I was like, I'm not overjoyed with it, but I like it because it lets me put my thoughts on paper,
Mhm.
and it turns into something.
Right.
So it's cool for me, and that's the key. If you don't have a product, you can't sell anything. So if you're your product, you have to figure out how you're going to brand yourself. What is the way you want people to notice you and to remember you for? And I know talent counts for a lot in this business, but the one thing that counts the most is consistency and dedication.
Mhm.
If you can put your time in and stick tight, it's nothing you can't do.
That is so true. They say that all the time. Be consistent.
Mhm.
Be consistent, because if you don't, then what's the point of,
And then you can't take everything, because some stuff's not made for you.
Right.
You know, you have to determine that. Like, man, I like to do that, but that don't fit with my brand. It's not gonna do nothing for me, so I'm just gonna let that go. Because I spent lots of months not working. That's why I write so much, because I don't want to do just anything, and I don't want my name just on anything.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
People remember that.
Right.
And only taking one mess up for everybody, and that's your whole day.
Right.
You know, remember when he did this and he did that.
Mm-hmm.
I try to make sure I'm along with my actors. I try to give them a sense of a home so they can create. Because even though I wrote the characters, I want them to get their shine out. And I always tell them, these are the basis. This is not the Bible. This is just a basis of what I want. I want you to develop it. You bring it together. Show me what you got. That's how I want you to develop for you, because that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll make sure we get the footage we need. I'll make sure we get all the shots. I'll make sure I keep the schedules. But I've learned now that to be consistent and to be of quality, people respect. And this year, turned that out, kind of threw it my way this year, because through the other projects, they got finished and I put them in, but people saw what I had to go through to get it done. And now folks are hiring me to do the job.
So do you think that it is important for like being picky about what roles you take? And when I say picky, I mean like for like as the momager, I'm real careful about the roles that I submit her for, or the roles that come through her backstage and actors access accounts and things like that. Like I'm very strategic about what we apply for, what we submit for, because I feel like at the beginning, whatever role you take and play, that's how people are gonna see you. Like let's take Whoopi Goldberg. She's always gonna be silly to some people off of Color Purple because that role stood out.
Yeah.
And so you got Oprah. She's always gonna be, you know, Miss Sophia, you know, and it's like I think about that when I think about the roles, and like we have one project that's calling her back on backstage right now. But when I went to read the scripts and everything on the resubmission that they want us to do, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about those lines. I don't know how I feel about the storyline that's playing out. So it's like not trying to be too picky, because I know you have to start somewhere, but it's just like whatever the reputation you set, I think it follows you in this industry. You know,
does. Because when I wanted to go, actually I wanted to do some PAing, and the people told me, you do background. I'm like, so? I mean, I need a check. I'm not trying to, you know, be a pain. I just want to keep working. I have to survive and pay bills. And they were like, well, if you want to be a PA, you need to stop doing background. I'm like, why? So I kept doing it until I finally said, all right. And I had to work for somebody for like 3 months, no pay.
Woo. That's
Every
like
day.
volunteer time.
No, it wasn't. Then they told me in the last end of it, we're gonna pay you for one of the months because you stood tall, you didn't complain.
Wow.
I did. I was like, man, I ain't got gas money. I got to think, hey, I called my brother, hey, can I borrow $20 to get some gas? And he was like, all right.
It's rough. People think that just because you're out here and you're doing things and you're working on these platforms that you're making money. A lot of it is really you're putting stuff in and you're not pulling anything out yet because you're waiting for that one big one big shot. So
that's it. You know, and then the pickiness is not a bad thing, because like, see, sometimes you got to eat. I didn't want a PA because I felt in the beginning I felt like I ain't no PA, because I hate getting lunches. I hate people ordering me around with dumb stuff, and I've had a lot of directors do that. And I'm like, he's the director, he didn't even know what he's doing, but it's the job. So once I stopped PAing, they kept telling me when they saw me do some coordinating work, got the union, the guy was like, you know, you need to stop coming in as a PA if you're going to try to be coordinating stuff on the films. I was like, I gotta keep taking these breaks just so everybody don't. He said, well, that's how they're gonna see you. And I was like, you know what, I'll do my own thing. And that's what a day on Living Single. They hired me for a 5-day stretch to do an engagement thing. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, this time we're gonna be working long hours. Like, overtime? Yes, I thought I was ready. Got there. The first day was 16 hours, almost 17. My feet was hurting because the tuxedo shoes wasn't big enough. I should have got them bigger. Didn't know I was gonna be standing on them that long. And then when the day ended, they told us, you had to be here every day. We didn't hire y'all for nothing. I'm on my way back to Lawrenceville from downtown Atlanta, and I get a text. And I'm like, whoa. And it's from the show. I'm like, oh, it must be the new call time. We do not further desire your services. We have decided to trim down on the background. So thank you for coming. I'm like, and I turned down 2 jobs to do that job. I was so hot. So I went home. I couldn't even sleep. I was pissed. I went, man, I dumped 2 jobs I could have worked, and to do this, and because I thought I liked the show, I was like, man, I could do this. So that night, I was looking at a picture we took in the Holden of me and these 3 guys, and so everybody kept saying, man, y'all look like y'all could do a lawyer show. And I just kept thinking about that, and I started writing, and that's how I wrote Risky Southern Law.
Gotcha.
I wrote the short film out in a night, and I was like, short film ain't gonna do. I tried to write into a movie, but it just wasn't fitting right. Then I turned it into 5 episodes of a TV show.
That's awesome.
So
Because I was mad.
when did you officially start writing? Like your first show?
When I had my cable access show called That's What's Up, man, every time I think of the name cracks me up. That's What's Up in Virginia. I had was bringing people in, and because just like you go on the set, everybody doesn't really is how you say this, is not as in depth in their job as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to know where you need to be. So when I was in Virginia, I would hire people to come on as hostesses and do stuff, but I had to direct them so much. It's like, man, you know what? I need to write stuff for them, so that way they don't always be done. And this German lady, actually interned with me, and she showed me how to format, because she did a 24-hour news show and showed me how to format it. And from that day on, I watched her, I learned how to do it, and I started writing for them so they could have lines. But they would be like, and you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, gee whiz, cut! So it's like, I felt that if I gave them some stuff, they could work better, and it did. So then I started doing the poster boards, because some folks just couldn't remember lines, and I know how it is. I get nervous. I can't remember. I wrote the show one day and knew everybody's lines were mine. It's like, but I got the poster boards, and because I heard Marlon Brando did that in Godfather. He couldn't remember his lines, so they put a poster board on the floor. That's why he walked down like this all the time.
Oh wow!
The script was on the floor.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so you do what's necessary.
So I'm an educator. I work in the high school, and I see a lot of kids that their senior year, they still don't have a good direction on what they want out of life, where they're headed. And I know that you deal right now mostly in entertainment, but that I feel like the process is the same. The finding your way has been the same for you. So when it comes down to young people not really knowing what exactly they want to do and be in life, I think that that's something that we have to try to address as adults, to let them know, listen, you may be here now, but if you would just follow your heart and follow your desires, it'll point you in the right direction. Like, I think everybody is born with that natural thing that's meant to make that platform, to make their way in life, to make things suffice for them and their families. So like, she was always my little singer. She would, as a baby, she didn't cry. She would literally hum herself to sleep. And when she was about 3 years old, people asked her, what's your name? She said, my name's Jossie Joseph. I'll be on Disney Channel. Listen, it wasn't Jocelyn Joseph. It was, my name Jossie Joseph. I'll be on Disney Channel. And so she was, her whole slate. She was slating herself at 3 years old. We didn't even know what slating was. That's
I don't know where to put you in auditions for.
I mean, parents, I think sometimes we overlook those things because we want our kids to be this. We want our kids to be that. We want them to go to college. We want them to do this and that. And I'm not knocking college or trade school or anything like that, because we're living in a society where you have to have some sort of secondary education. So what would be your motivational piece for a young brother or a young sister that's out there that's just confused? They get ready to graduate and don't know
what to do,
where they headed after this. Then I'm gonna figure it out. It's
funny you should ask that. I've mentored since the Million Man March. I went to the Million Man March, and I know it's gonna sound corny, but it affected me about how black men weren't stepping up, and our kids. And I had friends whose sons are just. And I'm looking around, and then their kids will always come see my kids. She said, "Why everybody come over here? They got a daddy," because I was always trying to help them out. Yeah, but it affected me a lot. So even here, to this very day, I work. I'm staff at a transition home for young men from 17 to 24, and as they come out of jail, come out of homeless, come out of foster care, and I've been there for two and a half years now. The thing about it is. Well, that also lends to why I said I did the abduction, because I feel like I can't be in a community and don't participate. I have to contribute. What am I here for if I'm not helping some other folks do something? And I don't have to be rich to give my time or to my energy to help somebody do something. So with these guys, they come out of jail 17, 18, been in there 3 years, 2 years. Wow. Yeah, and I'm like, wow. And the only thing that goes, well, I ain't gonna be here long. I'm gonna die at 25. And I was like, who keeps? And they all say, I'm like, who tells you that? Wow. Where they come from? Yeah. But then I watched where they come from, the roots, because everybody ain't got you for a mom.
Right.
Everybody got me for a dad. My son got into music and stuff because I told him at that young age, tell me what you want to do. What is it you love?
And you cultivated it.
Yep. And I told him, but this is my rule. You get in it, you're gonna finish it. I don't care if you hate it, don't want to do it no more. You're gonna finish it.
Stay committed.
Yeah, and then we'll do something else.
Okay.
But for this time, you in this, and let's work with it. So everything he did, I always backed him. Whatever it was, I put him for a TV internship through the school. He hated it. Oh, what is that with a rap? I was like, this will help your background, bro. But now to this day, he's out in LA producing stuff, and he's a engineer. He went to school for soundboard engineering.
So now look at that.
Yeah, and that's what I say. Nobody has us prepared. My wife hates you. My ex-wife, she hated that. He need to find a job. He need benefits. I was like, well, he need to find him.
Right.
'Cause nobody wants to be somewhere they hate for 20-some years.
Right.
And I know that feeling. I did it for 26.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally cried in my car on mornings the last 4 or 5 years because I hated it that bad.
Wow.
I was like, I really don't want to go here no more.
Wow.
And I had to figure out, what do I do? And I understand young folks need to find their way, but right now they need to find out how to have them, how to understand themselves. Because right now they have no sense of purpose, no sense of who I am.
Right.
And like I tell a lot of folks, it took me till I was in my 40s to realize this is what I want to do.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way, but it's hard because you bounce around and life experiences. And that's the one thing I said about me. When I did it, I started hearing all the stories about Harrison Ford got his at 50, Morgan Freeman was at some. And I was like, yeah. But then I realized I wouldn't have been able to write or to do the stuff I did if it wasn't for the journey I took.
Right.
I was in the military. I traveled around the world. I worked at a company, a Fortune 500 company, in the corporate side of it, learning how these things work. That's why I knew I could do this, because once I learned logistics and the budgeting and putting things together, I was like, man, I can do a TV show. It's a business. You just gotta have your understand that things have to be done, the schedules will be met. And so I would tell a lot of young folks, don't pressure yourself, because that hurts them. And I always tell them, it reaches back to their foundation, their parents. I blame my generation and the one before it that didn't really stand tall on them because they let them loose, thinking, well, I'll be their friend, or I don't want to pressure him. Don't pressure him. My son tell me, he hated it when I put him in school.
That's you.
Yeah,
it's like, stay on, yeah.
But you know what's gonna be funny? You're gonna be older, and you and your mom gonna sit there,
like,
you gonna bust up laughing, you gonna say,
you
man,
all.
I'm so glad you did. But my
So
son
glad
said
you did that.
He said, Pop, because of you, I'm doing what I'm doing. He said, and I owe that to you every day because I watched you cut tapes and tape them together. And he said, I'm still to this day wondering, how did he learn that?
Right.
I just knew I had to figure a way. And like you say, once you find that passion, that's the key, finding that passion. Once you see what it is, just be around it. I tell people, if you want to be a singer and they hire for janitors, be a janitor at the record company, because sooner or later somebody's going to see you or you're going to meet somebody and it's going to work. But you just have to be around it.
Right.
And I tell them about the film industry.
That makes sense.
The film industry isn't just acting, isn't just directing and writing. There are electricians, there's carpenters, there's photographers, there's hairdressers.
Right.
It's a working organization. So there's always room to find you a place in there until you get there. So I stayed in electrical and stuff till I found my niche. And once I found it, and like I said, COVID may have been bad for some people, but it reset me. And I took advantage of them 5 months. I cleaned up my scripts. I got together, looked at my branding, hooked up with my partners, and got with them, figured out what our talents, how we can mesh together, make this thing happen, and things just start clicking.
Now, the COVID really has been a blessing in a way because it opened up this whole virtual platform where
That's the other part. Yeah.
people you couldn't work with between Georgia and Los Angeles, or Georgia, New York, Georgia, and like you can now do everything virtually and still land that job because everything now they're just piecing it together and learning how to make it work. And so like with Jocelyn,
yeah, like when he said like connection and stuff, you know how like we did the competition with my little group that I was going on. Then all of a sudden the judge, they were just like, girl, you go by yourself. I don't even know why you even have a group. And all of a sudden, Mom, she's following AGI, you know, trying to get me an audition. And she comes to me one day, she's like, Jocelyn, I have a surprise for you. I was just like, what is it? She said, I got you an audition for AGI.
There you go.
And I looked up what AGI was, and I was like, oh, this is a singing, acting, and performance boot camp, like an industry boot camp. And there are VIPs that come in.
It's a performing arts school. Too.
Yeah, it's dope. And like, I got the audition. She was like, oh yeah, you're definitely gonna be in the show. I was just like, and I'm meeting people that I never thought I would meet. I never thought I would meet Brandon J from off of Let It Shine. I never thought I would meet Miss Alexis from off of Tyler Perry for a while. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I said, nobody's got a mom like you got. Not everybody.
Right.
But the good thing about it, she saw what needed to be done. She nurtured it, and the fact that you love it. That like I told my son when he's mad about working cameras. You're gonna be mad at me now, but later on, you're gonna say, "Wow."
And look what he's doing now.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And like I said, even for me, I had to go through traveling around the world, living in different cities, just different things. I was in the SEALs in the Navy toward the end of my naval stuff. And I realized that in commitment and in a group, you got strength.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much power in unity. And that's why I'm so open to having new people, working with other people. I call them chicken wings. I don't be like, you can't get out of here. No, I love pulling in there with people. That's why when I first met you, I was like, look, we're going to do something. And if you ask anybody to work with me, they'll tell you this. He'll say he's going to work with you, and it'll take 2 years, and then he'll work with you. I don't know why that happens, but it is. It's like 2 years, I'm with him. But I make sure I keep my word, and I make sure I get quality products, because I want to build them as much as I want to build myself. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we work together, like I tell my crew, I don't have to be with you every day. I can work with some other people, but let's just hold our founder. Remember where our home is. Yeah. We still branch out and do other things, and that keeps us fresh. We learn more. We get a little more seasoned, and that's the key to it. Because even with me, I had to go. What's that? 5 Heartbeats. They say Duck will never be a good writer until he has heartbreak. Well, I got a heartbreak that made a hell of a writer out of me.
Oh goodness!
And that those things have to happen for you to have your nuances. And that's why I say with young folks, don't pressure themselves, but you do have to look around. I tell them guys at the house, they sit on their phone all day. One dude looks at anime. I said, so you know how to speak Japanese? Go, nope. I said, but you watch that every day and you can't speak a word of Japanese? What sense does that make?
And you boosting somebody else's viewings instead of making your own.
I tell them to constantly, see, the thing about a lot of them didn't realize what I did. They thought, if I'm there, I'm a broke down guy, I just need some help or somewhere to go and help show the kids what to do. But after a while, they got to know me and then start seeing me on the internet and go, oh, you actually, or somebody called and say, the people were bringing food in one day and the lady goes, I said, I knew you. I was like, huh? And she was scaring me. So I told you, I knew you.
Oh,
did I tell you I know her? I'm going, oh. She goes, I saw you last night on the show with Loretta Devine and Charles Dutton. I said, yeah, that was me. She goes, I told you that was you. And I'm looking, and the guy's looking at me and say, I said, Charles, what's wrong? I said, nothing. She saw me on TV and said, you really do it? And as soon as he said, you really do that? I'm like, so I've been telling you this for over a year. Then you just not going, I really do that. Yes, that's what I do.
Yeah.
But everybody don't run around in limos and live in big houses.
Yeah. Right. They can also draw attention to yourself.
And that's it. And like I tell them, take the time that you have and you search things. Nobody's covering your boundaries. And like I say, the COVID helped with the platforms. Now everybody wants content. Everybody wants content. So if we can actually get into creating more, because there's not, you can never create too much. There's so many people want it. The Golf Channel even reached out. I'm like, and I got a show for them. Wow. I just haven't finished cleaning up. But there's places to put your stuff, and that's all you have to do is show that you're willing to work. You're not a diva, because a lot of folks be, I will never do that. That's not me, and I'm not gonna. And like, no, well, let's talk. Let's see if we can figure it out. Because I really want to do something, and if we do the right thing, all of us will be happy. So all that stress on them young cats, they just have to chill and get a focus. 2 of my guys left out about 15 that actually done something really good with themselves. And now the other ones are looking back going, I should have, but I tell them, once you leave our establishment, you can't come back. Because most of you leave the wrong way. If you leave like you got some sense, you can come back. But you leave, don't tell me what to do. I'd rather be in jail. I don't know why jail so much is better than this, but if that's how you feel. But I think that if they just take the time and utilize their time wisely, they'll figure it out. But they don't have me or you in there. And that's why I do what I do. So if somebody's reaching out to them, I tell them constantly, do for you. Make sure you find something.
All right, guys, listen, we're going to take a brief break. I was trying to get her attention so she could do this part.
But anywho, we're going to take a break, and then we will be back with more.